Hello everybody and welcome to today's video where today I'm going to be showcasing the enemies. Now here we have all the episodes that I have completed thus far. We have episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and episode 7 and episode 8 are the enemies. Now it's been 9 days since I last made an upload on this project, and since then I've created these 2 episodes and the enemy is still incomplete. There's going to be a third, although the third is going to be the shortest of these 2. And the thing I've been stuck with the most is episode 8, which I actually completed like just today, like an hour ago. So I really wanted to get this out so that you guys know what's up. So even though the enemy is not finished and I haven't worked out all of the bugs, it's still pretty close to being complete and still pretty epic. So this is the code. It's crazy. There's a lot of code in here. There's even more code in here than there is for the player, which is surprising. And it's entirely because of the episode 8. It is just that advanced and complicated. So let's hop on the project here, and I'll show you what's happening. So here we have our enemy. You can see him chilling in the corner, and right now I can walk around and everything's fine. When I enter a certain detection radius, the enemy will then check if it has line of sight of the player. So if my enemy is like here and there's like an obstacle blocking its path, it's not going to detect the player because there's an obstacle there. So it actually has a line of sight system to detect for that. So here we go. We have our guy, and I walk into his radius and he chases me. There you go. So now he's chasing me, and when he gets close, he doesn't attack, which is undisrupted unless I attack him back. If I'm touching him while he attacks, my health will go down, as you can see. And he is programmed to move faster than the player unless I'm rolling. So stamina becomes a big part of this game. There you go. So now, we got that. He's there. If I attack him, he will accelerate in the opposite direction as part of a knockback mechanism, which is pretty cool. If I hit him enough times, he dies, as you can see right there. And I got that done within like the first 2 days. That was the easy part. It's the next part, and I'll first show it to you here in the project, and then I will show it to you in Microsoft Paint to really like illustrate what's happening behind the scenes. Now I prefer to do this with the enemy itself instead of the clone. So here we have the enemy. He's the guy that I just dragged out. This is the enemy, and I'm going to align myself like this. There you go. And then I will actually do that so that you could see the collisions while I'm doing this. So here we go. I don't want him to go off screen. Oh, I accidentally triggered his radius. That is my bad. There you go. So now he's here. So if right now I'm within his detection radius, and he cannot see me because his detection radius is blocked by these collider clones right here. But the way that it works is that if the player rounds the corner while being chased by the enemy should still know relatively where the player is. The enemy should know that the player is around the corner. So even if the enemy loses line of sight, it should know. And that's what I've done here. So what happens is that if the enemy is pursuing, it gains an advanced line of sight that allows it to check whether or not it has line of sight of where the player has line of sight. So as you can see, the player obviously has line of sight of the stairs. In this case, the enemy has line of sight of the stairs. And so the enemy can see the player, and that's how it works. So if I go here, and I go click this, it's going to set it to pursue. The enemy is going to move, align itself on the x-axis at 0, and then continue chasing the player. And there you go. Now it's chasing my player. And it just knows that the player is there. And then if I do the same thing, and then if I do this in a more realistic situation where I'm actually getting chased instead of just setting it, okay, then we can see that he will align himself on the axis, but you have to do it under like very specific circumstances right here. See, he lines himself up on the x-axis to attack me. And it's a pretty cool system that I've designed, and it is all within these 3 blocks right here. It's crazy. So now I'm going to show it to you in Microsoft Paint so that I can really, illustrate it. Okay, so here we are in Microsoft Paint. This is the tutorial that I use, not a tutorial, devlog, where a person's making an RPG and they're talking about how they made an enemy. Now these yellow tiles are these yellow dots mark the tiles where the player has line of sight. And the purple tiles are everything else. So tiles that are collisions, tiles that the enemy can see, tiles that are not occupied by the player's line of sight. That's how it is. So in this case, the enemy sees this, and the player sees this. So there is an overlap. Now with your typical line of sight system, it would go like this, and just point towards the player, and it will interact with the collision and say, okay, I am touching the collision, and so therefore I don't have line of sight, logically speaking. But with this system, you can actually see that we have made a right angle triangle. And this line is the distance to the player, which means that we can use trigonometry to calculate, using this angle, the length of this line and the length of this line, known as the opposite and the adjacent. And then using trigonometry, you might know it, so ka toa, you can create this. So basically that's what I've been working on, is a system where you use normal line of sight if you are idle and not chasing the player. But if you are chasing the player, then you will check first your normal line of sight, and if that does not work, you will then check your advanced line of sight, which will count for the player. And that's how it works. So it is an incredibly advanced system that I've been slowly working on and using a lot of variables, and it's been pretty good. So in terms of progress report, I have to do one more enemy episode, and then I can incorporate the lesser things like NPCs and more of the map. I can design more of the map, and I can design like an inventory system. And from there, we have a base RPG from which to create like a storyline and stuff like that. The way that's going to go, though, is that I've gotten sick recently, and school's starting to ramp up with the schoolwork. I'm in my first 2 weeks done, roundabout 2.5. So school's starting to ramp up and plateau and get to its like average amount, and that means that I am working on this project less and more on my schoolwork, and so that means that progress on this is going to slow down, and I might not get another update out until like another week. But so far, things are looking good, and it seems like I'm actually going to finish this project and have what is going to be one of the most advanced RPGs on Scratch out there as a tutorial for other programmers to learn. I hope you guys enjoy this episode, this showcase, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Shout out to Chocolade for the video, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.